Hey everyone, today I'm going to tell you about the FIRE movement, Financial Independence, Retire Early. It's a movement that's blowing up on social media and has some great lessons for you. I'm also going to show you how to measure when you get to financial independence, and I hope you understand if FIRE is for you because, to be honest, it's not for everyone. I think financial independence and retiring early is a great goal. Imagine telling your boss where to go. Imagine not having to worry about money. Imagine being able to do what you want to do rather than doing what you have to do. That's financial independence. I think most people don't think about financial independence. It seems too far off. It seems like they'll never get there. It seems impossible. So they don't even think about it. Even if retiring at the age of 40 isn't possible for you, improving your financial position is possible. And so is being financially independent younger than most of your friends. But you just need to think a bit further into the future than your friends do. Let me tell you a story. I remember wandering the aisles of a supermarket when I was in Orlando last summer. I was visiting some friends. I saw a young couple. They were buying Doritos and other snacks about 2 p.m. one Sunday. I'm guessing they had people coming over for drinks. The young lady said to her boyfriend, "What do you want to do about dinner tonight?" And the boyfriend said, "Look, let's cross that bridge when we get to it." Now, most people struggle to think too far into the future, but you need to know that financially independent people, they're the ones that can think further into the future. They're the ones that know that the decisions they make and the actions they take today will have a massive impact on the life that they're living 10, 20 and 30 years from now. And I think that's a big part of the FIRE movement. These people know that there isn't a way to get rich overnight. They have a clear goal of financial independence and they're willing to set a plan, stick to it, and make some sacrifices along the way. Basically accepting short-term pain for that longer-term gain. And that's how most successful people do it, actually. The ultimate goal of FIRE is to build up your assets so you can live off those assets and you don't have to work. You get to choose how to spend your time, your most precious resource. People following the FIRE philosophy typically prioritize extreme saving and investing. They tend to make massive sacrifices in relation to their spending, putting as much money into investments as possible so they can retire way earlier than most people. They do what most people won't do, so in the future, they can do what most people can't do. It does tend to be quite extreme, so it isn't for everybody. Some people don't want to live that way, and look, some others just can't live that way. To make this work, you need to cut down your expenses to the bare minimum that you need to survive. You need to find ways to increase your income, and you need to invest in growth assets, which are going to have some volatility along the way. While there is no set rule, a lot of people in the FIRE world try to live off 50% of their income and then invest the other 50%. When you consider that most people are spending 90% of their income, and let's be honest, a lot are probably spending 110% of their income, FIRE can be really tough. I actually think of FIRE like CrossFit. Do you know how you can tell if someone does CrossFit? You don't have to, they'll tell you. A lot of people that do CrossFit take their health and fitness to a way more extreme level than the average person. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just not for everyone. These are the people that go to the gym 6 times a week. They drink their protein shakes and they stretch for hours and hours. Most people just can't be bothered and they don't think the sacrifice is worth it. It's the same with FIRE. Living off 50% of your income is hard. You need to sacrifice a lot and you need to do it for years, decades actually. But if it's important to you and you stick with it, then 2 big things happen. You're investing a lot more than most people. You invest early, you invest regularly, and you watch your money grow. Compound growth kicks in and your money starts to grow really, really fast. Secondly, you're used to living a very simple life, so you don't need as much money when you retire, which means you can retire with less money in total, which means you can retire earlier. These 2 factors mean that you can get to financial independence well before the normal retirement age. As a guide for those that can invest 50% of their income, they can reach financial independence in about 16 years. So if you're 24, then the thought of retiring at 40 is pretty appealing. Now, not everyone that goes to CrossFit is at that extreme end. They don't all weigh their broccoli and have push-ups for breakfast. And it's the same with the FIRE community. There are plenty of people out there that love the idea of being financially independent. They're careful about what they spend and try to invest what they can. But they don't sacrifice everything along the way. The key measure is what percentage of your income you're investing. I'm going to make some videos soon on exactly how to invest and what to invest in, so make sure you subscribe to see all the new stuff. Here's a table giving you a guide of how long it takes to get to financial independence if you're taking home $40,000 a year. If you're living off 50% of your income and investing 50% of your income, then you're looking at 16.6 years. If you invest 37.5%, then it's going to take you 23 years. 25%, now it jumps to 31 years, and at 12.5%, we're now looking at 47 years to retire. As you can imagine, for most people, if they're relying on 401k and Social Security, then they're actually investing less than 12.5%. That's why it takes most people around 50 years to retire. So if you want it to happen earlier, you need to invest more. And the earlier you start, the earlier you'll get there. Now I want to show you some of the maths behind financial independence. I'll keep it simple, I promise. There's a rule of thumb in the FIRE community, which is also used in the broader financial world, called the 4% rule. Basically, this says that you can sell 4% of your assets each year and live off that money. Studies have shown that historically, if you sell down 4% each year, then your money should last for the rest of your life. So we build up our assets by investing every month. And then at some point in the future, when 4% of your assets is equal to or greater than your expenses, you've reached financial independence and you can retire early. I can't tell you exactly when you'll get there. If anyone says that they can, by the way, you should run away. I don't know what your salary is, what your salary will be in 10 or 20 years, how the stock market will perform, or what's going to happen with inflation or interest rates. And no one knows for sure. I'm just using long-term averages to give you a guide of what could happen. What I do know is that if you don't invest, you're not going to reach financial independence. So just start investing. That's the main thing. And keep learning. That's also going to help a lot. I think that's one great lesson from the FIRE community. Deep down, they take their money seriously. They act like a professional when it comes to managing their money, not like an amateur. They're looking for ways to increase their income, reduce their expenses, and they invest in really tax-effective ways. They're lifelong learners who build up great financial habits. You know, it always amazes me that people spend weeks planning their next holiday or hours looking for a new car. But how much time did you spend last year planning your financial future? That's what people in the FIRE community do really well. So even if you don't want to live off ramen noodles and buy secondhand clothes, you can still get that great lesson from them and spend a bit of time thinking about your money and setting a plan. Building up your assets to create a passive income is really important, but also only half the equation. The other half is managing your expenses and living below your means. You need to understand how much you're spending, because we want 4% of our assets to be greater than our expenses. So if you have lower expenses, then you don't need as much money to live off and you can retire earlier. As a simple example, someone who has a lot of debt and they have a lot higher expenses, so less debt, or ideally no debt, is going to make it easier to reach financial independence. Here's an example with some numbers. Imagine that at some point in the future, your take-home pay is $5,000 a month and you've got all your debts paid off. Say you need 60% of your money to live off for bills, spending and saving, which is $3,000 a month or $36,000 a year. And if you had $900,000 in assets because you've been investing a bit of every pay for the last 20 years, then you could use the 4% rule and sell 4% of your assets. That would give you $36,000 a year. So at this point you would be at financial independence because 4% of your assets is equal to your expenses. So you can live off that money. And that is why we invest. We build up our assets so that we can live off the income we get, we can sell down our assets for a profit. This allows us to retire earlier and wealthier than those that just relying on Social Security or their 401k. If you're willing to make the sacrifices, then studying like the FIRE community, living off 50% of your income and investing the rest will get you there a lot faster. But living off 50% of your income is pretty extreme and really tough, so it isn't for everyone. If you don't want to go down that path, then still make time to manage your money. Set goals, learn more, and invest for the future. Hopefully, you now have a basic understanding of the FIRE movement and financial independence.